Aloha. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the LiveAloha365 podcast. Much love and aloha to those of you who have supported us thus far. We appreciate it. Thank you for watching our YouTube. Thank you for going on our Instagram. Thank you for those of you who are participating on the TikTok. We mainly have this one on the TikTok, the old Lilo baby. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Grinds with Tries. If you haven't been to the Ono delicious Grinds with Tries, you need to go. Tries In is always serving up Hawaiian and Filipino foods and all kinds of foods that you should go down and eat. Some of my favorites are always the classic. Some of my favorite dishes from Tries In are the Ono chicken. It's a crispy, sweet take on a teriyaki fried chicken. It is so good. Tries In also does spicy ahi poke. Super good. It is amazing. Much love and aloha to the Grinds with Tries crew. We appreciate you guys and we appreciate you for sharing aloha through Ono food. You guys are truly amazing. We appreciate you. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, my guest today is Kamaka Dias. Kamaka Dias is an amazing human being. He is that crazy guy that tried to pay off $50,000 of student loan debt in 1 year. And of all years, 2020. And guess what? He did it. Kamaka Dias is an amazing, diverse human being. He's been to the Peace Corps. He did this crazy race to 50K. Kamaka Dias has done all kinds of things. I'm so excited for you guys to check him out. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for the great and powerful Kamaka Dias. Well, Kamaka, thanks for being here. And I wanted to show to you. I got the merch, baby.
Mahalo.
All about Hawaii, baby.
Yeah.
Thank you for having that as part of your setup, because that was like your own individual project, right? Or was it?
That was part of the race to 50K, but yeah, it was my friend had the idea to make shirts for Aloha Hawaii month in February.
Okay,
so
cool.
Yeah, we were like, okay, we could donate half the profits to Ahapuna Leo, which is our Hawaiian Immersion Preschool, and then the rest can go to the race to 50K.
That's so awesome. Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, the guy, the blue check mark guy who doesn't need the blue check mark, this guy is basically famous, right? Kamaka, thank you for hanging out with me, and we're already getting into talking about the race to 50K, and I wanted to just continue to bother you about that, and mainly the Peace Corps and your life away from the Big Island and now being home. And I wanted to mention to you before we started, your race to 50K, which I hope you can, give us a little spiel about. It was very inspiring and one of the main, catalysts for me kind of doing LiveAloha365, man. It's just super inspiring to see somebody living aloha. I mean, I don't know, I know I'm just so jaded and that's the lens I see everything through, but like I was like, it's one thing to like talk about it, but living it, I mean, doing it every single day and putting it out there and making it kind of viral in a sense, right? You had so many people engaging and I was like, man, this is inspiring. And I was like, okay, I gotta get this guy on one of the first Zooms. I gotta just bother him about his life and just hear how this guy lives aloha, man. So I don't know where you want to start. I don't know if it's easier to start with the Peace Corps and that's where the race to 50K idea came from, or wherever you think is a good place to start. I'm all ears.
Well, you always got to start at the beginning. I mean, we're connected because we basically grew up together.
You're right. Back in Hilo. Back in Hilo.
You went to Hawaiian Immersion School as well. Yeah. And then we played soccer growing up. So, yes. I mean,
it's in the roots. It's
roots, yeah. But yeah, so moved to Oahu my senior year of high school. Graduated from college.
That's right. Gosh.
Yeah. Then went to Manoa, graduated 2016, joined the Peace Corps. After the Peace Corps, I started the Race to 50K, which was my crazy idea to pay off $50,000 student loans in 1 year.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
And then it rolls right off the tongue now, man. It's just,
Yeah.
just easy. Well, so not to just skip over the Peace Corps, but was that always in the works? Or was that like something that you're just like, guarantee I'm going to do the Peace Corps? Or how did that come about?
That came about when I was studying abroad in Spain, my senior year of college, actually. My resident director was in the Peace Corps like a long time ago. Okay. And I heard him talking to some students about it. And I wasn't in the conversation. I was just like walking nearby and I heard about it. So I went home, looked up the Peace Corps, and then I was like, wow, this is super cool. I mean, you can travel, you can learn new language, blah, blah, blah. You can challenge yourself. So I went back to Manoa, studied abroad again in Argentina, completed my minor in Spanish because I just fell in love with learning languages, got the travel bug. And then I was like, I'm going to join the Peace Corps. This is what I want to do after I graduate college. I don't care if I'm not using my degree, whatever. This seems like the right fit for me.
Yeah.
So I just applied for it. I wanted to go to South America so I can keep speaking Spanish. So I applied to Peru and Costa Rica. And then I needed a third choice. And I was on the M section and I saw, oh, Madagascar, like the movie. So I just clicked on it, not even thinking it was a real option. And then a week later, I got an interview, or maybe a couple weeks later, I got an interview, and it's for Madagascar to teach English. And I was like, is that even what I want to do, where I want to go? And I had the interview. He told me about the connections between Hawaii and Madagascar. I went there 2 years later. I loved it so much. I extended for 1 more year. So I ended up being there for 3 years. And I just got back last year.
That's crazy. And you had done, speaking of like viral videos and content, one of my favorite videos. It's so funny, like you put stuff out on social media, right? And you never truly know how it affects people. Like you see like the polarizing stuff, right? Like you can swear on here, by the way. So like, bro, fuck you, this sucks or whatever. Or like, wow, this is like the most amazing video I've ever seen. But you don't hear all the stuff in between. But you did that video where you was bald.
Yeah.
And then like it was like he had super sick transitions, and like that song is one of a favorite song of mine now. And then that video, I was like, oh, that's a sick video. For those of you who don't know, maybe I'll put a link in the description. Like your hair, you saw your hair getting super long, and like your facial hair was getting all long. I was like, oh man, this is sick. Like it's such a cool journey, to be on. Yeah. Was that video specifically something that was like, oh right, I gotta keep my brain engaged, I gotta get my creativity up, or what was that about?
That was kind of just like it all starts from these personal challenges that then after, I guess I like social media, as in like sharing my life with people. So I was like, I've never had long hair before. I never had facial hair before. I'm going to join the Peace Corps. I'm going to be away for 2 years. So why not just grow everything out? Yeah, and nice. I've seen like people do time lapse, like they take a picture a day or whatever. So I just had to think of a different way to do it. I'm like, why not? Well, I can just make videos like going around different places in Madagascar. And it was just you're going to see the change of like complete, like I went completely bald, like skin, and nothing at all. And then every week I'll just take a video and then I do some sort of transition. So it wasn't like a picture time lapse. It was like a video time lapse, which was like different than what I've seen before.
It was so cool.
I just wanted to do that. Yeah.
And so awesome.
Yeah, I got super long. It was like over here.
That's super long hair. By the way, I don't know how good my mic is, but if you're hearing anything, it's probably my personal assistant.
Oh, okay. No. I need to get me a personal assistant.
I know. I don't know. I have this one, and then my Alexa over here, but Alexa is I don't know. Alexa, stop. Don't do anything. Let me fix my camera. But yeah, well, my grandma, who you probably met at the Bayfront soccer fields or whatever,
I have her a picture of her in my head.
Yeah, she wanted to join the Peace Corps. Oh, no. So she was in Hagerstown, Maryland, where she grew up, and just East Coast as East Coast gets or whatever. And she's like, okay, I'm going to join the Peace Corps. And then ended up, I think she was going to Thailand or something or somewhere like that, and they had this training in Hawaii. And, to acclimate or whatever. I don't know exactly why the training was in Hawaii. Lucky them. And she talks about how, when she got off the plane, right, had my grandfather, right? He used to work for United Airlines. And just so happened the Hawaiian charm had to come out, and just, anyway, basically, he, oh, hey, we guys are landing here, you tourists, like, you can show you around the town and all that stuff. And then, essentially my grandma never left. She never went to the Peace Corps, but she always, is like, man, like she says something like, she wishes she did that. You feel like it's something where like, oh, it kind of takes a special person to do the Peace Corps, or you kind of like, I don't know, it's like amazing. I mean, you signed up for a whole nother year, so you must have been like, yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I would encourage anybody to join to the Peace Corps. And some people asked me this a couple of days ago, like, do you think the Peace Corps is for everybody? I don't think, I think anybody can do it, but I don't think it's for everybody, because it takes a certain type of person who's crazy enough to put themselves in like certain situations and like stick with it, because not everybody finishes the Peace Corps, even though they joined the Peace Corps.
I see.
But yeah, regardless if it's the Peace Corps you want or anything in life, I would say if you want it badly enough, you can make it happen. Because like, it wasn't easy for me. I had like appendicitis, I had parasites, I had like food poisoning, like all kind of things. But like, I really wanted to be in the Peace Corps. Like, I knew nothing was going to stop me. Nothing was going to send me home. So that's how my mindset was. Like, the good and the bad, it's just all part of the experience.
I think it's got to be kind of like like a pillar of what I'm thinking about for LiveAloha365 is like one of the pillars, like you got to be a little bit crazy. Like you got to be a little bit nuts. You know what I mean? Like you got to be kind of willing to color outside the lines,
and not crazy as in like, we're thinking stereotypical crazy,
but just a little a little bit of that good crazy, man, for sure, because I think that enables you to get places and go places and share the aloha on a different level, when I guess to articulate it maybe in a different way, it's sort of just like not being afraid, like just not to being afraid, but having the courage to stand out and be crazy and do something that other people think is crazy. I think that's just such a pillar of aloha. And the other thing,
aloha has no judgment. That's why. But a lot of people we live in fear of judgment, and we're all bound by these societal norms. But that's not what aloha is.
Yeah. What does Kamaka Dias think aloha is? Do you have a framework or a definition, or?
I mean, I don't have like a specific definition written down, but like just off the top of my head, like aloha is just like, of course, love, but it's more, to me, it's reciprocation. It's like a flow. Like, I help you, you help me. I love you, you love me. It's like a community thing. It's like, I mean, almost like yin and yang, and it's like, it's all encompassing. And it's like, I just feel like aloha is the greatest thing. I mean, we're really talking about love, and, it's unconditional, all that stuff. But like aloha, when you put it in using the Hawaiian sense, Hawaiian word for love is aloha. It just, to me, it has more meaning. It's not just love, it's like culture, it's courage, it's like all that wrapped into one word. So like, that's what aloha to me is, like being kind, spreading the aloha, like helping each other out, like all of that is just aloha to me.
I love it. I in college, I don't know why I'm sharing this story, but I had a lot of golf friends, and they were they had this coach, and every start of the new season they have like a team meeting, and then the coach always talk about, right, you got to share the vision. Like he would, they would talk about like whatever the goal or mission or vision. I think some of those were there, at times synonymous. they would always talk about the share the vision, and that always sticks with me.
Mm.
And when I talk about LiveAloha365 and like sharing this vision, right? Brene Brown, hopefully that's a person that sounds familiar to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her TED Talk on empathy is something they showed us in
Yeah.
Peace Corps.
Oh, cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. Is it the one,
Funny how it's
the
connected.
animated one?
Yeah.
Where like the down in the pit. Yeah. I
Yeah,
love
love
that. Yeah.
that. Love
That
that
one is
video.
the one. Wow, it looks bad down there.
Yeah. I got a sandwich.
My sidebar goal is to mention Brene Brown in every single one of these
Oh,
videos.
nice.
Brene Brown and then Joe Rogan.
One for one. One for
Like
one. You're good.
polarizing figures. Yeah. So anyway, I was going with that with the share the vision. Brene Brown has this quote that I rediscovered just recently, and I think is, the universe guiding me a little bit. And I haven't quite found a way to say it on my own because I've liked her version so much. But I think, like when you're saying aloha knows no bounds, right? And I think for me, and one of the main motivators for like kind of doing this, right? Like, the motivator for doing the race to 50K, well, pay off $50,000 student loan debt, right? I mean, like that's the motivation, and I think me is, she has her quote is live that kind of love so you can give that kind of love. And I think, how you were saying, like aloha has that culture and that background, love, right? But, we had mentioned our roots. I think that's woven into our DNA, right? The Hawaiian connection. And our foundation is sort of that aloha spirit. What does that mean, right? We've seen so many examples of how aloha can like take over our lives or influence our lives to be better, right? And Kamaka, just 2020, I was just sick of myself. Not sick of myself in a way where it's like super toxic or anything, but I was like, like I'm meant for more. Like I'm meant for I can be doing more. And I cannot tell you how many times in my life I've just always said that and just never acted upon it. Just never done anything. It's like, what a loser. Like anybody could say, I am ready for this. So part of this mission to me is like, man, I gotta live aloha so that I can give aloha, right? And part of the living was like I said, part of your kind of the inspiration was like, it's one thing to be like, oh, race to 50K, and then like by March you're like, I just stopped posting. It's like the posting and the interaction it's the new like, I don't know, social interaction. It's the new water cooler.
Well, especially now.
Truly, right? Yeah,
virtual.
to the upteenth degree. It's the new, marketplace, watering hole, right? Like, hey, what's going on? And the world, will never cap out of its capacity to take more aloha. And I was like, let's just do it. Like, let's just be a beacon of aloha so that people can, whatever they need. I mean, if they need a little bit of inspiration and hear somebody talk, maybe somebody sees Peace Corps in the title, they're like, oh, Peace Corps, maybe I'll try, just listen to this podcast or whatever.
Love that.
I'm just like, like, why not? Like, I'm running out of excuses. It's like, hey, it's time to make this happen. Not to get on my soapbox or anything.
No, I love it. I love it. Keep sharing. People need to hear this. I mean, I can relate to that. I mean, I also had like this feeling like for so long, like, God, I'm meant for more. Like I feel like I need to do something big, and a lot of it was just like waiting, waiting for somebody to reach out, waiting for something to just fall on my lap, and then at some point you just have to like go for it. You have to be like, okay, can't wait all my life. Can't just hope to get lucky. Like you have to create the opportunity, and like that's a big thing, is just creating opportunity. And the more opportunities you create, the more lucky you're gonna seem.
Yeah, luck is was one of those like insert picture here, but it's like the classic picture, and then the word, it's like all in bold, and then like the little definition on it. It's like luck is when preparation and opportunity meet, right? So the preparation, right, is all the little work you got to put in, right? Like you cannot just sit around.
Yeah, but people don't see that. They just see the result, which then they're like, oh wow, he's lucky.
Oh, I could do that.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy paid off his student loans 1 year. Oh, I could do that. I don't know how much. I assume you didn't get a lot of hate for what you were doing.
Not much, but when they post the news articles, there's always like a few people who are like the headlines like, Big Island man pays off $50,000 of student loans in 1 year by working hard, blah blah blah. And then after, there's somebody's like, oh, but he lived with his parents. You know, it's like they just like forget everything else, and they're just like, oh, but he lived with his parents. I'm like, I got 10 friends I can think off the top of my head still live with their parents.
Right, so
what's the difference?
It's so unreal, right? Like, what is? I mean, speaking of mentioning Joe Rogan talks about how, like, you know, whatever he posts, you know, I know he's such a polarizing figure. I'm always afraid to bring him up, but then I'm like, bro, you shouldn't be afraid. Like, if you like him for certain reasons, then that's what you should just. You shouldn't be afraid to bring up. But he talks about like, oh, he'll post and ghost, because he'll like post something that he thinks is valuable, and then he'll just like not look at any of the comments. But like, bro, why does that always happen, Kamaka? Like, why do people? Is it just a desperate longing for aloha? Or they're like, bro, I need to attach myself to this somehow? Or are they just like pilau loser people?
You're talking about the people commenting.
Yes, like, oh, like, you know, oh, he still live with his mom or whatever. Like,
I think like I just saw somebody write a definition. Like, it's cool because there's like random people I don't even know like defending me, you know.
That's super cool.
Like, oh, that's cool. And they're like, yeah, haters is just like somebody who what was it, like they're jealous of the success. Like, they can't see somebody else succeeding. They can't accept like the good things, so they have to find flaws or whatever just to discredit the success. So that's all it is. It's like people don't like to see. I mean, as much as we all love to see people succeed, that jealousy. It's like, I mean, I think
how come I don't have that?
We have too much love. I think Drake said it in one of his songs. It's like, jealousy is love and hate at the same time, or something like that.
I don't know. Probably now. Hey, insert sound clip right here.
Yeah, look it up.
Oh my gosh, yes. Well, I mean, that makes sense to me. And I mean, now that we're getting to the race of 50K, was that an idea that was like spawned while you were at the Peace Corps, or was that like, oh, I guarantee I can do this? Like,
no, that was all from the Peace Corps. I mean, my life has gone in like a trajectory where it's just like, I do this, and because of this, I do this. Because of this, I do this. So it all like leads me to become here. So like, you know how people ask like, oh, you know, if you could go back, what would you change? Like, if you had a time machine, like, I wouldn't change anything, because like, of course I wanted to do other things back in the day, but like, because of everything that I did, it led me to where I am now. And I'm like super grateful for that. So, you know, studying abroad led me to the Peace Corps. Peace Corps led me to doing the race to 50K and whatever I do next. So, you know, I was in the Peace Corps, and you live alone, you know, you live in the middle of nowhere by yourself, no electricity, no running water. So you have a lot of time to think. So I just, you know, reflect on life, reflect on like what I want to do. And I was thinking like, okay, my time in Peace Corps is coming to an end. I got to do something. I got $50,000 student loans waiting for me, just compounding interest. So I'm just like, okay, what am I going to do? What if I ask 50,000 people for $1? Then I'll just be done. I can do everything,
guaranteed.
Whatever I want to do. Yeah, but honestly, it might have stemmed more from my desire to do something bigger. Like, I wanted to write, I wanted to travel, I wanted to do something else, but I couldn't do that because I had student loans. Because the longer I would wait, the more interest it'll accrue, and by the time I pay it off in 10 years, I'll be paying 70,000 instead of 50,000. And I could imagine what you can do at $20,000. You know? Imagine what you can do at $1,000. Like 20,000. I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. So I was like, okay, why don't I just work super hard for 1 year and just do anything I can, live super frugally, and just pay it off, and then I'll be free to do anything. Because I hear stories about people paying it off their entire lives. And I was like, I don't want to be like that. There has to be a different way.
Yep.
Yeah, and I did it.
And then boom, here we go.
Yeah. It's not as simple as that, but there's like almost like a year and a half of preparation and action. But you know,
guys, anyone listening, all you have to do is just think that you can pay off $50,000 to student loan debt, and then boom, it just happens. Yeah, it's easy.
So easy.
It didn't even take a year.
Yeah,
it was piling under a year. No doubt. But I think that I follow this one guy, Trevor Reagan. He talks about the he has it listed on his website as like an acronym, but it's the self-fulfilling cycle on how to get good at shit. So it's like FCHG, whatever, all this stuff.
Yeah.
But he talks about like belief, action, like feedback or review, and then kind of goes in a little triangle like that. But like, yeah, so like plenty of people, well, I think most humans are capable of having those thoughts, right? Like, oh, like there's got to be a different way, or like,
Yeah.
oh, I believe in myself, right? But then we don't get to like the action part. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
his example is like, oh, Steph Curry can shoot like that. Oh, I believe I can shoot like Steph Curry. But then you gotta like go to the gym and put in the time, yeah. And they shoot and then they're like, oh, I missed. Like, oh, this is hard, right? And the feedback they give themselves is, oh, this is hard. Nobody can do this, and then that feeds their new belief of like, oh, nobody can do. I'm not gonna do this anymore. Yeah. I'm sure there's, like you said, there's plenty of setbacks that you went through, right? When you took that action, like you said, you got all these sicknesses or you were away, but then, you had this probably a few tools in your tool belt that helped the review and that kind of refueled the faith. I'm sure. I assume this kind of. It seems like most successful people kind of go through that. Like,
you have to start at the bottom too. You don't have to start at the bottom, but
it's
another Drake
motivation. It's just another Drake quote. Start at
the bottom. Basically, I live my life off of Drake quotes. I just realized that now. He's my new role model.
You're gonna be like texting me like periodically, like, bruh, I didn't know I kept saying this phrase and it was a Drake song. Oh, okay.
I know. Race to 50K is actually part of Drake's album a couple years ago.
I'm sure he says 50K in one of his songs. There's no doubt about it. But anyway, so talking about like sharing the vision, right, of LiveAloha365. Okay, gotta live it to give it, right? And I was like, okay, well, let's live it. I mean, how many times have I said, oh, okay, I can go on this diet, or like guarantee I can run a sub 6 mile and I can train for that, or what? And then you just like peter out. And I was on another Zoom with another guest, her name Janessa Mast, and she was talking about one of the many things she was talking about. It's like, right, you gotta get good at like setting up systems for yourself, because she's like, bro, I'm like the laziest. She's like, she being real with herself. I thought she was just putting herself down, but she said, you gotta set up systems for yourself. And I was like, probably, but you're so on it. And she's like, oh, it's just because I set up like these, these practices or these systems. Is that a familiar practice that you did too? Like, okay, I know every morning I can go to this routine, or like, oh, I know this can kind of give me my physical fitness routine, or is there any kind of, like daily practices that you kind of did that maybe you're like, I guarantee, Kyle, like you should, think about doing these things, or anything like that?
I think I heard, I seen it somewhere, like have systems over goals, something like that. I don't know if that's the exact phrase, but
I think it was like have system over goals. It's like a rap. It's like a rap song. Try Drake.
Yeah, maybe. But I agree with that, because to me it's discipline and like holding yourself accountable. So for me, how I do that is list. Like I have to-do lists. I have a whiteboard. If I don't have a whiteboard, I just use a piece of paper. And I'm old school. I don't like to type it in. I like physically writing it. So like if I write it down, it's like me saying if I say it, it's like me saying to the universe, hey, I'm going to do it. And if I don't do it, then I'm letting myself down. I'm not letting anybody else down. I'm letting myself down. And like, of course, I'm like the hardest on myself. So even before I started the race to 50K, I started telling people about it. I was like, okay, once I start telling people about it, I have to do it. I can't just not do it,
Yeah.
And this was like months before I even started the race to 50K, when I was still in Madagascar. But yeah, so my system is just like writing down, like every morning for the race to 50K, I was just, or the night before, I would like plan it out. Like, okay, I gotta edit video, I gotta shoot video, I have to call this person, I gotta message this person back, I gotta do this before this time, I have to blah blah blah. And that's the thing that like keeps me going, because also like I'm lazy too. Right before this, I was just chilling in bed, just like cruising. I was just like, I'll just wait till like 10:29 and then turn on Zoom or something, So it's easy for people to be lazy. Like motivating yourself is really hard, but because we all can't be motivated every single day.
Mm-hmm.
So the main thing is discipline. So like every morning I like work out, you know, no matter how tired I am, whatever, if I'm a little sore, just you push through it. That's the hardest part of my day. I got my workout in. I can just like chill for the rest of the day, or, you know, not chill, but do everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And then just having like that, creating that kind of routine, you know. I don't think routines are bad. I think, you know, they can become pretty mundane, but
Mm.
I just feel like have a routine, but you don't have to stick with it, you know, like be flexible with like
Yeah.
anything.
Be more connected to the overall vision versus like the, okay, this is the 1 2 3 ABC step by step. You
Yeah,
gotta
exactly.
do. Yeah,
Yeah,
if you change step 2, that doesn't mean you fail. It just means you adapted and
yeah.
got better. Yeah.
Just adapt. Yeah.
Yeah. That's um it seems to kind of be a common theme that people talk about, is like sort of that commitment and that willpower to yourself, like, bro, like, no, like, no matter how tired or like whatever, like, you know, that's like discipline. Like, no, like, I I you know, good or bad decisions seem to like snowball, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's why some people talk about like, oh, I get up, I make my bed, because it's kind of like, boom, I got one thing
That's
done.
what I do.
Yeah, boom, I got one thing
Yeah.
done. Okay, I
Yeah.
go out,
Exactly.
brush my teeth, boom, brush my teeth, got
Yeah.
it, boom, you know. And
Small
then
things.
these small things seem to snowball, right? To like,
Mhm.
bro, now I'm just crushing this day, bro, you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, have you ever heard of Aubrey Marcus?
No.
He well, actually, he was a CEO of this
Oh, I'm
company
pretty
called
sure
On
Drake's
It.
first name's Aubrey. So
No.
I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
I don't know what's going on with these Drake connections.
the thumbnail for this video is just gonna be
Yeah.
me, you, and a Drake right in the middle.
Yeah.
We're just gonna be like, oh, actually, hey, look, wait, look to your left. Is that okay? Yeah, you look that way, and then I'll look this way, and then we both like, oh, like a surprise face. Okay, ready? 1 2 3. I put a Drake's
That's
head
the
right there in the
thumbnail.
middle. That's the thumbnail. I don't even know what I was talking about.
Sorry,
Oh,
Audrey.
Aubrey. Yeah.
Aubrey.
So
So
anyway, he's just one of those, you know, just guys who just crush it, right? He used to be the CEO of this health and fitness company. And he has this book called Own the Day, Own Your Life. And it's you know, similar kind of sentiments that people keep echoing, is like you don't just like arrive at the end. You don't just arrive at like 50K. Like, there's so many other little things. Like, bro, do you have like a number of jobs that you did?
I
Do
didn't
you have
do
an
everything
account?
yet. Like, yeah, I didn't like add up the totals of like everything I got from like recycling, artwork, blah blah blah. But it's definitely, I would say, over 300 different things I did.
That's so crazy. You know, and so it's like people don't realize, like, oh, yeah, you gotta like do the 300, like that is the snowball
Yeah.
that accumulates. But I think on the negative flip side, it's the same thing. Like, I just throw my blanket wherever I like. I'm not gonna make my bed. I can have a Pop-Tart for breakfast.
Yeah.
I can, you know, whatever. Choose to be grumpy or whatever. You know, I don't know. Those kind of things seem to snowball as well, and then it becomes so hard to change course correct. You know. Yeah, but I mean, anytime you know, you talk to someone like yourself or anybody, you know, who does stuff, right? It just always seems like, yeah, but I'm just pretty amazing, and I just did all this stuff. But I mean, I'm sure like you were met with the Race to 50K with all kind of issues. I mean, think about the biggest issue, COVID.
Yeah.
That's probably
that was a big issue.
Yeah. I mean, because that was kind of happening. I mean, the end of 2019, kind of, but like what, February, March is kind of like when probably things really.
It's pretty early on.
Yeah. So how was that? What was the process of like just crushing that obstacle?
That was probably, I think, around the time I went through my mid-race crisis is what I called it.
Oh.
Because one of the lower parts of the Race to 50K, because my life before that for like 3 months straight was this work, be out in the community, help others, like do these things every single day. and it just came to a stop. Like,
Mm.
just like slow down, lockdown. You can't do it. You can't go out. You can't do anything. I'm just like, how am I gonna do that? Like, how am I gonna get money for my student loans? Like, yeah, I could do things online. I could, I don't know, find stuff, make videos, do TikTok dances, or I don't know. But that's not the stuff that I liked. I like being out in the community. I like helping others and like having that human interaction. So I was, yeah, that was tough because like at one point I had this audience that I built, and then I was like, I can't do anything. I can stay home. Then it kind of just like became me trying to entertain people instead of like just doing my race 50K is what I called it. Because when I started, I wasn't thinking about like getting a big audience, whatever. All I focused on was doing whatever I'm doing to whatever I need to do to pay off my student loans and documenting everything. So I wasn't like documenting it to post or like doing things to post. I was doing things and just posting them.
Mm.
I don't know if that makes sense. So
It does, because then it's like, I'm gonna show everybody my to-do list, screenshot, boom, upload. First, it's like, oh, is that a nice angle, or like what? Like
yeah, and more
that's
like
also, you know.
yeah, like I'm gonna do this specific thing only to post it to like
Mm.
entertain people, instead of just like, okay, I have to do yard work, I have to go do this. So I'm just showing people like the behind the scenes, whereas it's like, let me do this fun thing or try to write a book or whatever. Like this, think of all these other ideas that just like was not feasible. But it was just me trying to keep my mind so busy and like with the idea of like keeping people entertained so I wouldn't lose the momentum, I wouldn't lose like the people. So yeah, that I had to work through. And then I actually took a break because I didn't want to leave. And another factor was like, I didn't want to get anybody sick. I didn't want to be that one guy. Like it was a race to 50K more important than people's health, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I got through that, you know. I just had to adapt,
Yeah.
and I just changed it to more like yard work, you know, low contact kind of jobs, like getting groceries and delivering it to people. So like, it changed to like a lot of deliveries, a lot of yard work, things like that. And unbelievably, it just kept going and people kept donating. And like, I thought
So
it wouldn't
crazy.
because like everything's shutting down, people aren't
Yeah.
going to have money, but they just kept giving. And that just shows the aloha in the community. And
Hey,
it was the coolest thing ever.
that's right. I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I want to continue to poke at something that you brought up. You talked kind of in the Peace Corps, and just now you mentioned just like that, right? Like just the continual process of like thinking and like kind of like in you seem to have built a skill of like really processing things in your mind and having conversations with yourself. Do you feel like that's something that you've just gotten better at over time? Like, was that something that like happened in like elementary, and like you just kind of just kept sharpening that tool?
Hmm.
Or it potentially could be like, Madagascar, like I did nothing, so like that's really where that skill was born or something. I don't know what the story may be on that.
Yeah. I think it was, I mean, Madagascar was the most transformative part of my life. Everything that I am now is because a huge part of, not everything, a huge part of who I am is because of that. And that's just because of like being put in situations that you're just like, I have no idea how I'm going to get out of this, but you just go, you just keep putting one foot in front of the other and then you figure it out. And like, I feel like that's my biggest skill set is I just figure things out. Like, I don't know how to do things according to the general guidebook, but like if I can make it work, I'll do it. Like I'll figure out, I'll throw together something to get me by. And like
Yeah.
that's even like with the race 50K, like I've done jobs where I've never done them before, but I just figured them out.
You're like, okay, I
Yeah, I think it was, I think you have to lose that fear gene. That's what it is. I think not being afraid to fail. I think that's the biggest thing, because like when I started going abroad, that was like my first time, and it's scary at first, and um, I think I just kind of flip my mindset where it's like, instead of being nervous, I'm excited, because
Mm.
nervousness and excitement comes from the same part of your brain. So it's all about perspective. So it's more like, oh, I'm excited to do this, instead of like, oh, I'm scared to do this, or I'm
Mhm.
nervous that this might not work. I'm like, I'm excited to do this. I'm excited to try. And even if I fail, then I can just do something else.
Do you
So
do you feel like in those moments where you talk about like, I just had to make that switch? Do you feel like it was literally just like, oh, I'm feeling nervous, and then you just was just like willpower, where you just like, no, no, like, nah, I'm excited. Okay, I'm gonna be excited. Woo, like just kind of fake it till you make it.
yeah, exactly. Faking it till you make it. That's like,
Yeah.
so you realize the more you do that in life, uh, just to get by. But it's really just like, I believe in the power of the mind, and like
Yeah.
I built my mentality like up so much. Like my mental toughness, I feel like is way up there. Like as much as I could work out, whatever, get my physical toughness up, like my mental toughness is like Kobe. I have that Kobe mindset. That's what I
Got that
tell myself.
Mamba.
Like,
Got that
yeah,
Mamba.
Mamba mentality. Like even when I work out, like I'm just like, oh, my body is so sore, but like my mind is pushing me.
Mm.
So like even in situations where I'm just like, I'm exhausted, I don't know how I'm gonna get through this, but I know I can. I know some way, somehow I'm gonna figure it out, and I'm gonna keep going. And that's what it is.
I think it's important for people to hear like you gotta, one, have that belief, and then two, you gotta like work for it, right? Take
Mhm.
300 plus jobs. You gotta work out every day. You gotta continue to do things, research different ways, more effective ways to get what it is that you believe in, and then like kind of review that and just
Mhm.
do things that fuel that belief continuously, right? I mean, there's so many stories where people are just like, I just like didn't let anybody tell me otherwise. I just
Yeah.
did it. And it's just
Yeah. Yeah.
like, there's so many times where I'm like, right, it's not that easy. Like, how is it that easy? Where you just like, well, I just didn't take no for an answer. So I just did it. But there seems to be that, a magic ingredient there. Like, I
it's
just,
it's not being scared, because
yeah.
we were like, oh, when you people tell you, like, okay, I don't want to disappoint this person, I don't want to like go against the norm. So once you take that like fear out of it, like it's okay to be scared, but don't let that stop you you
Mhm.
know so I that gene just kind of just lost me, because like even race 50K, I was like, I could easily fail. I could fail in front of thousands of people, like easily. But at the
Yeah.
end of the day, maybe I don't make 50,000, maybe I make 20,000, but I make all these connections.
Yep.
There's a silver lining. There's other things to worry about than being afraid of what you can't do.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think, I mean, that's got to come from a part of our brain that's in there that once had good intentions,
Mhm.
like, Brad, don't eat that berry, because if you eat them, you're gonna end up like Joe Blow that just died. I say. So I think that's helped get us to this point, but we gotta figure out how to put the glitch in the matrix. We gotta figure out how to hack that part and just be like, bro, override system programming so that we can kick it up a notch.
You just can't lose your dinosaur. I'm just quoting Step Brothers, but like having that like child in you, because like as a
Mm,
as a child, we're not scared. We're not afraid of judgment. We're not
mm.
like worried about getting hurt or whatever. Like that's, and I'm like a big child. Like you need just the right amount of ignorance, and you just have to be like a little naive sometimes,
Yeah,
and stubborn. Like all these things just like mixed into one to be able to, you know, do whatever you want, whatever
yeah,
makes you happy.
for sure. I think that's part of the secret ingredient of LiveAloha 365 too. Is kind
Hmm.
of like how you and I had talked about on the phone. Like, oh, what if I just posted every day? And,
Hmm.
people be like, every day is so stupid. Like, why would you do that? Or like, Yeah, and although I don't think like it'd be the same post on like, I'm not gonna post 365 YouTube videos, or maybe
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I will, but um I like what you kind of said there, like being a little naive, like what, I don't know, just I said I was gonna do it, so
Yeah.
I
If nobody's done it before, well, I'll be the first.
yeah, kind of going back to a little bit of that good crazy, right? Like, oh, that's
Yeah.
crazy. Like, what do you think you're doing? But yeah, I didn't want to miss the chance to ask you your advice or any kind of like top 5 all time tips or anything, like as you are hearing about this journey and now a part of it. If anything, we talked about all kind of stuff, but like any sort of daily practices you suggest, or like, oh, this was really helpful when I was editing content, or like, or just any kind
Mhm.
of words of wisdom, or I don't know, anything, any kind of tips from Kamaka, I would take.
Yeah. Well, it's not gonna be easy. Like, it's not gonna be easy. You just have to. If you want something easy, then I don't know. Go. I don't know where you can find that. Like, it's gonna be hard, but like embrace the struggle, embrace like
Mm,
the good and the bad. And like, I'm an optimist, but I like to be a realist too. And I'm not just gonna like totally ignore the hard stuff, the bad stuff. That's just what makes the good so good, you know.
mhm.
So it's more just like taking things like with a grain of salt, and it's like believing in yourself, knowing that you're more capable of what you think you are. So I mean, that, trust me, I've been in situations like stuck on a bus during a cyclone in the middle of nowhere, trying to get back to site. Like, we just had to sleep in there this in the morning, get out at 6 a.m. with all the hiking gear, and just walk. Just try to walk to site, walk 6 hours just to get home. No food, no nothing. So, but like, you figure it out. Like, if you
Yeah.
just tell yourself, like, I mean, don't give up. Like, that's an overarching thing, but you just keep going. Like, just keep going. Like, believe you, it's gonna work out. Like, I tell people, like, people stress, people worry about all these things, and just do it. And it'll work out. If you get in trouble, you figure it out. Just keep figuring. Life is like literally all about figuring it out. Like,
Mhm.
nobody knows everything.
Yeah.
Like, and if only the fool knows everything.
Yeah, and the wise man knows Jack.
Yeah, yeah. That's all.
Yeah,
You just keep learning, keep asking, you keep making mistakes, and that's how you learn.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. What? So the race to 50K is basic, getting pretty much wrapped up. I don't
Hmm.
know if you any kind of final post, but I don't know what's the sneak peek? What's the next adventure? What's going on?
Race to 401k.
Anybody like hire me? Hey. No, but I mean, you talk about sort of like, your life events have springboarded you to the next thing, right?
Uh,
Like, okay, study abroad, boom. I have no doubt in my mind that I'm sure the next springboard will be, and even if it's not good, like you say, just gonna keep going, man. Just
yeah,
gonna keep rolling to the next thing, and see what you get yourself mixed up in next, man. But
yeah.
race to 401k, if that's what it is, hey, I'm in. We'll check out anything you're doing, man.
Mahalo. No, but I'll probably write a book. Or I won't probably. I will write a book. I want to write a book about the race 50K, book about my Peace Corps experience. I have some other ideas I want to do, projects I want to work on. Um, I want to help out the community, just try to be present.
Kamaka, isn't it so strange how you're like, I'm gonna write this book, and like I got projects on the way. It's like, it's so funny. Like, when did we become these people who are like, yeah, like in a couple years, like I'm gonna unleash this project, and like right now I'm working on this, and like like I swear we were just like, bruh, let's just, after practice, can we go to the beach? Or
Yeah.
like, hey, no, we have a game in Kona, but if we dawn patrol Friday morning, then it'd be good. It's like,
Yeah, yeah,
so
exactly.
it's so funny how time flies, man. It's like,
Yeah, seriously,
yeah,
adults. But growing old is mandatory. Growing up is optional.
yeah, I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Is that a Drake quote?
That is not a trick quote.
We sure? Okay.
We'll fact check it out.
Fact check. Yeah, that's my assistant somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, get on it. Let's go.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Say that again. Say it again. So I have try to get it locked in my mind. Growing
Growing up.
up is
No,
mandatory.
sorry. Growing old is mandatory.
Growing old.
Up is optional.
I like that. Growing
Yeah.
up.
And
is
that can be
optional.
taken different kind of ways, you know, as in like,
For sure.
you know, growing up, maturing, or there's could be like people who act like kids.
Yeah.
You know, in both senses. Yeah.
I love it, bro. I love it so much. Well, I don't want to take too much of your time. I'm trying to shoot for like a, you know, like a kind of an hour-ish, and you know, just to start and just kind of see where these things are going. But bro, Kamaka, it was awesome having you on. I'm excited to follow the race to 401k or whatever is next. Excited to buy and read your book whenever that comes out, and maybe have you on again if you know, if we think of anything to connect and talk about, and you know,
got that connection.
Yeah, that connection, absolutely. Well, I don't think I have too much else unless you have anything else.
No, I love what you're doing. Keep it up. It's always exciting to see, you know, people from your childhood, your adulthood, wherever, there's people in your life succeed and do awesome things. So always supporting, you know. You won't find a hater out of me.
Kamaka, thank you for being, you know, one of my inspirations to do something like this. So, hey, I'm gonna let you go so I can keep it rolling, baby. I gotta get my check. I gotta check my items off my checklist right here, and we'll get going. I'm like you said, I'm sure it's not gonna be all smooth. So maybe the next Zoom will just be me crying, like, Kamaka, what did I get myself into?
Embrace that. Embrace it.
You're right. That's you
gotta love that.
That's what I would need you to say, right? Like, not like, oh, it's okay, or like, you're so right. But I'd just be like, hey, embrace the suck.
Yeah, but it will get better.
You're so right. Thank you for that perspective and reminding me of that right before we sign off. Okay. Well, Kamaka, until the next time, take it easy and aloha.
Mahalo.
Aloha.
Live aloha.
Live aloha, baby.
Hilo's such a rainy old town. I listen to the rain come down. Don't it fall so free?